And we have with us today Minister Maurice Muhammad, and he's the head of the Tuscaloosa Study Group of the Nation of Islam. Timothy Robinson, president and founder of Against All Odds, which is a grassroots organization that focuses on at-risk teens. And an old friend, Bishop Earnest Palmer, who's our first two-time guest, and he's the pastor of Cornerstone Full Gospel Baptist Church, who I understand went to the inauguration. Reverend Palmer, you went to the inauguration. Are you fired up?
Well, I'm fired up for a number of reasons. But now, my problem with both statements really, and is with the media more so than anything else, because we keep referring to President Obama as the black president.
African American.
Well, African American or black.
True African American.
Well, that's more African American than black. We keep referring to him as if he is the president for black Americans or for African Americans. And I'm saying the issue that I find that in terms of the dream is that until we get to the point to realize that Barack Obama was elected president of the United States not only by black people, but by a whole lot of folk. Right. Now, you refer to that 75% approval rating, and you said right there, you don't get that with 20% of the country being black. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we're still saying that he is the first black, that he is the only black, that he is the first African American, whatever it is, suggests to me that there is still a schism, a schism in our thinking that sets him apart and perhaps causes the expectations to be higher than they ought to be, mainly because of being black. Growing up, you always had the thing in our community where you had to make sure that your sights were higher than the nearest white guy, because that's how you were measured.
You had to be 2 times better.
Had to be better.
Mm-hmm. Which gets us back to the dream. Do you think we will ever see a day where the content of a person's character is what they're totally measured on?
I was all right till you said totally. Because
I realized I couldn't paraphrase it exactly right. So I was
well, see, the problem here is you're asking for a utopia.
Mm-hmm. No.
You're asking, in effect, for heaven, for the ultimate place of our residence, or where we're going to be, or a new heaven and new earth, the book of Revelation talks about. So I'm not sure that's going to take place, and certainly not in my lifetime. I went to the inauguration for the express purpose, and I took my grandson with me, because I said, I don't think I'm going to see this kind of gathering of people for this reason again as long as I live. So I'm going to have you hold on to my hand. I want to be there to show a generational connection from what I only dreamed about has now become your reality.
Bishop Palmer, what's your take on black history?
Well, I have mixed feelings. It's a generational thing with me, because we were raised up where we celebrated this every week. It was a week, then we extended to a month. So I'm gracious that we got to a month. 28 days, I'll take it.
And 29 on leap year.
29 on leap year, yeah. We pray for leap years. But the real issue, though, is I think it's a time of information.
Yes.
It's for the generation of young people born after 1970, it's informational for them, black or white or polka dot, no matter what the color is.
That's true.
Now, for those who beyond that, it's a reflection, it's a memory, sometimes not so beautiful memory of a past that we've had to that we were taught to disregard and press on for something different. Mm-hmm. So my son and my grandson, my son who finished university, engineer, does not know anything about sit-ins and bus rides, and for that matter, about nooses around necks and that kind of thing. So he thinks his perspective has always been that anybody can be an engineer.
Right.
All you got to do is get a degree. But now those prior to my time say, "Oh my God, we thank you. Here's a black engineer."
Right.
That's why I'm past that point now from assigning color to achievement.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, there was that famous story about the Obamas going to the Lincoln Memorial before the inauguration, and one of his daughters saying, "There hasn't been an African American president before." She did. You better be good. You know, your speech better be good.
I had the privilege at the inauguration. I actually watched the inauguration from the suite where Obama had stayed the week before, when he had not been permitted to go to, where he was going, Blair House, I think.
Blair House.
And I stayed in his suite, and some Secret Service agents were still there, because everything was still just about the way it was. When I say I stayed there, I was there with several other colleagues and associates, and watched the inauguration from his suite there. And my grandson said to me, he said, "Granddad," says, "this place is so big." And I says, "President Obama stayed here last week." Now for him, he says, well, his response was, "Well, that's good. He didn't even scratch up the table." He scratched up the table because his point of reference was not to the awesomeness that an African American who was going to be the new president of the United States stayed where he was standing.
He's taking it for granted.
He's taking it for granted,
which is probably good.
It was no big, with no
as
big
long
deal.
as long as you realize the history.
That's right.
Well, I think to wrap it up, I think we could all agree things are a little bit better now than they were maybe a year ago or 6 months ago, but there's a long way to go.
Yes.
And we thank you for tuning in, clicking into our first Black History Month